Hello everyone, my name is Dean and let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is January 14th, 2025. And Bitcoin is doing what we thought it would, kind of. I'm not going to lie to you. There are certain things I expected and certain things I didn't. I'm going to talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about what's going on with altcoins, what can we expect from altcoins, and why. If that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get right into it. All right, looking at Bitcoin on the hourly time frame. So most recently, we've been saying that Bitcoin's chart was such that a retest of the 99K level was very likely. Okay, been saying this for a week, or yeah, probably almost a week, and even been the uh the subject of some jokes. Oh, 99K, 99K, where's 99K, as Bitcoin was struggling to hold support in this region right here, right? And it looks like we finally broke above, okay? And so we're going to look at this, right? So I expected a move up. I did. But here's what I didn't expect. Look at how it's moving up. First, I want to draw your attention to the volume. Now, I don't look at volume much. If you guys follow my work, it's been a while since I've ever taught, like probably years since I've pulled up the volume indicator. I just, you know, earlier in my career, I do a lot of volumetric analysis, but I stopped using it for a lot of reasons I'm not going to get into. In any case, I just want to draw your attention to the volume, okay? The volume on this move right here. If people who believe that this is an actual recovery, like a full-throated recovery, just look at the volume. I mean, if you can't tell by the candles and the quality of the candles, just look at the volume. It's nothing like that. This is all corrective, okay? This is part of what confuses me. Not that it's corrective, we knew that. And the volume's not telling me anything I didn't know. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. The volume's telling us that this is a weak move, retesting some sort of resistance, and in the entire scheme, in the larger scheme of things, the quality of this impulse to the upside is corrective and actually counter to the larger trend. Let's turn on the volume one more time. I just want to show you what that means. So when you say something is counter to the larger trend, and the larger trend, the dominant trend for now, is actually to the downside, the volume tells you that. So go on the 4-hourly time frame so you can see this a little more clearly. Look at the volume bars on the down moves, okay? And then look at the volume bars on the moves up. So whenever there's a move down, actually let's do it on the daily time frame. You may be able to see it even better. The volume picks up where the trend is leaning. So you can see big volume, big red volume on this trend right here, okay? And as the price is kind of going sideways, the volume's kind of trailing off. It's not doing much, but you can see on the smaller time frames, just dropping down on the 4-hourly, the volume picks up every single time, at the exception of this, and this may just be that the 4-hourly captures more green than red, so it could be it can be an exception, but by and large, the volumetric analysis shows that selling volume is bigger than buying volume in this range right here, right? Since the 23rd of December. So it tells you a bit about where, the price is likely going, and our larger trading thesis of Bitcoin being in a distribution and actually leaving a distribution and being in a larger downtrend is confirmed by the volumetric analysis. In any case, I'm not an expert in volume. by any means. I don't use it much, and I don't pretend to use it much. But I just thought that was interesting to note. The other thing is, what really kind of confuses me is when I look at this on the small time frames, I understand that we're in correction, but I'm, as an Elliottician, the first thing I do when I see an impulse, whether in correction or in pure impulse, is I try to count it. I try to count it and I try to measure it and all that stuff. And so the impulse started from the low here, right? And here we get very strange moves. And I'll tell you why this is strange. The first thing that's really strange about this impulse is that the first wave comes up and doesn't even hit the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level. It comes shy of that. Wave 2 very rarely goes shy of the 0.5. Although, technically, wave 2 only has to come down to the 0.382, the minimum retracement of wave 2. And that's for a really strong bullish impulse. But that's very rare, exceedingly rare. Most wave 2 corrections come between the 0.5 and the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level. So that's the first thing. I was like, I haven't seen that much at all, even in Bitcoin. Okay, then we kind of keep going, and it makes sense that we stop right above the previous level of staunch resistance. Okay, so we kept being rejected by 95, 95, 95, and so now we pop above 95 with this sort of diagonal consolidation up and to the right. Makes sense. That's exactly what you do when you're met with resistance, but you have strong buying pressure. You consolidate and move up all at once. So that gives you these consolidation candles right here. Sorry, let me zoom in so I can draw that better. You see what I mean? Right here. It's up and to the right consolidation. So that's exactly what you get when you're gonna break it on the first attempt. You both have to consolidate and continue to make higher highs and higher lows. This is what you get. So you popped up above it and now you retest it. So I expect that to be retested. And that's also a reason why I don't think that this is necessarily coming down. This is kind of the impulse we're stuck with when you're looking at our move to 99K that I kept talking about. And so we're almost there. That's the other strange thing about this. It happened so quickly, although it didn't happen quickly because I'd been calling for it, here and here and here again, right? People making fun of me for that. I get it. But, it finally happened. And when it happened quicker than I thought. Why am I saying it's quicker than I thought? Because I thought altcoins would also go along with that. But they haven't. And I'm going to get to altcoins in a second. There's a thing that we keep observing, right? And I keep observing, and it is that Bitcoin pumps, and then there's a rotation into altcoins. Barring certain exceptions, that's kind of how things go. So I'm guessing what's likely to happen is this impulse to our target is going to happen. And then when it happens, after it happens, we're going to get some sort of consolidation at resistance. But it's so risky because you're playing musical chairs, right? Because we're really close to our target. Our target is right here. But technically speaking, this burgundy box that I've drawn in is our technical target. 99 was just where I thought we would go because, as I explained yesterday, 99 has been so important on this chart as a measure of resistance, and so it was likely to be retested as resistance once more. A lot of liquidity at 99K. But technically speaking, we're already at our target if you measure our Fibonacci retracement level of this purported zigzag from the top to the bottom. You can see that we're already at the 0.5, right? And you see my red box is between the 0.5 and the 0.618 because in a zigzag, ABC zigzag, Elliott wave, ABC zigzag corrective pattern, right, where you have your A wave and your B wave only has to retrace to a minimum of the 0.5 to a maximum of the 0.618. Because this is Bitcoin, this is why I thought, okay, 99 is going to be likely the target. It's likely going to wick above the 0.618, which it typically does. So I said 99, nice clean number, and for the reasons I just stated, I'm still expecting 99. All that to say, we're pretty much at our technical target, and I do expect us to go up a little higher, but Bitcoin's pretty much done. Altcoins now have to do what they're likely to do, or we're waiting for altcoins to do what they're likely to do. This is where I want to take the discussion next. So Bitcoin, just so you know, for all those Bitcoin bulls, like, don't expect much more from this. I mean, if you can't tell that, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, just look at the price action, look at how it's behaving, look at how slowly it's going up, right? It's fast for me, but it should be slow for you if you think this is going to take us to back to 100K or above. That's not a properly impulsive, like clear, clean, pure impulsive move. This is a corrective impulse that just happens to go to the upside. The next move is a big move to the downside, and we talked about that yesterday. I'm just going to show that really quickly. I hit it here. It's in the layers. Yeah, it's this path right here. So yeah, this is more likely than not what we expect. Once we hit our target, we come up. We come up and we go down. Now, are we going to go down immediately once we hit the target? I don't think so. And I'm going to talk about why I don't think it's going to be immediate. Obviously, I don't know. This is why I'm calling it musical chairs. But I don't think so. It's unlikely given where altcoins are at. So we're going to look at some of those because, all right, let me just not get ahead of myself. So yeah, this is what I think it's going to do with a high degree of probability. Once we go up and hit this target, we break down from this finally, and the first target of which is the midline of this multi-year channel, and this also gives you the measured move of this head and shoulders pattern that I hope everybody sees. I mean, it's quite clear, right? It's clear as day. Something like that. Actually, the neckline is higher, right? So yeah. Oops. Like this is, I mean, everybody should have this on their charts as a head and shoulders pattern. It's a textbook bearish reversal pattern. If you miss this, I don't know what you're getting. So yeah, that's the measured move for the first target. And then once we get there, we put in the next zigzag, and then we put in our final 5-wave sequence to the downside. People that are hoping and praying and got the Trump savior candles burning in their on their altars, that's, I mean, I don't know what you're doing. That is why we study technical analysis, so we don't have to resort to stuff like that. That's not even analysis. Like, there are a bunch of bullish and bearish fundamental causes, circumstances, but that's not what tells you how price moves when and where. Yeah, it doesn't matter who's coming in office. This is going to correct with a high degree of probability. It's a question of, now, how do you take advantage of that? And you don't have to, believe that at all. I'm not saying, you can believe, the first Bitcoin president is going to save you by all means. That doesn't mean that, the price is never going to correct because he's in office now. All right, let's get to altcoins, because I think Bitcoin is interesting. You have to look at Bitcoin, obviously, to understand the market. But what really interests me now is the move in the altcoin space. Now, Obviously, when you're talking about altcoins, you have to talk about Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance, measure of Bitcoin's dominance vis-a-vis the rest of the cryptocurrency market. And we do have our Bitcoin dominance nearing resistance. Okay, we're almost there. I think you have one last move to or above this level of resistance to really call it. And like I said yesterday, I'm reading it as such. Initial break, counter, initial counter, secondary break, secondary counter, tertiary break. All this is my tertiary counter. And I'm expecting it to go to this resistance. And that resistance, if you want to know, on the higher time frame, is quite the resistance, because it was the previous support of all of this up into the right consolidation. You can see almost 100 days. And so we broke down, retested it, and then what I just counted was a series of corrective pairs. Basically, what you have to do, the requisite sort of dance that price does, or yeah, this is an indicator, but I'm just going to say, you know what I mean. Price does in order to distribute or accumulate. You put 3 pairs in, minimum of 3 pairs of corrective patterns. So I think that's close, okay? But there's just so much. There's so much confusion. There's so much like, could go this way, it could go that way when we're dealing with corrective price action. It's hard to say. So, I'm not going to rest my hat on only just that read. The other thing I like, and that's encouraging about this Bitcoin dominance chart, is that our momentum indicator, the stochastic RSI momentum indicator, is up here, right? That's overbought territory on the 4-hourly or on the daily time frame. So that's showing, okay, it looks exhausted. On the 4-hourly, it's also up in the exhausted territory. Okay, but not so for the hourly. So I think that's why we get that one more push up. Okay, so that's the Bitcoin dominance. Now let's look at some altcoins. When you're talking about altcoins, there is one major altcoin, the king of altcoins, Ethereum, that should be considered. And this is one reason why I'm not as nervous, right? I talked about the musical chairs, meaning once the music stops, everybody's got to rush and get a chair, and if you don't get a chair, you're out. Meaning, if you're waiting for a pump, if you're waiting for a move up, and Bitcoin does its dance of distribution and it gets ready to actually flush, and you don't get a chair, you don't get out in time, you're left holding the bag of your investment, or even worse, your position in leverage. So this is why I'm like, okay, what do I do? How do I read this? How much time do we have? I can't just rely on what I'm reading in Bitcoin, because the timing is difficult to really pinpoint. I don't have much to go off of, and Bitcoin dominance doesn't give me that much information as to how to time it. So I resort to looking at the altcoin space. Now, Ethereum on the higher time frame is not one of those assets that I believe is ready to break out and pump and do anything significant. To me, Ethereum's quite clearly in a larger A, B, C correction, coming right back here, the base or the neckline of this bear market consolidation, right? The bear market consists of two movements, if you will, right? The down movement and then the sideways movement. The sideways movement reaccumulates the buyers. So all the sellers step in and say, this is valued too highly. No, the real price is down here. Haha, thanks for playing. And then the buyers say, well, we like Ethereum. And over a number of years, they buy Ethereum within a set range. Okay, that takes a few years. And then they decide, hey, you know what? It's time for the value of this asset to appreciate. So more and more buyers step in and say, hey, you know what? I do like Ethereum. And they step in, and as a result, more buyers create a price appreciation, because the supply runs out, or is there's not enough supply, there's enough demand, the price goes up. Now that is the bear market accumulation. That's the last part of the bear market. Okay, now you have this resistance that was the top of that bear market accumulation. You pop up, and now what you're doing essentially is quite simply, in my estimation, according to this chart, a very clean ABC flat correction. Okay, and so you're putting that in, and so I wouldn't even think of buying Ethereum or being bullish on Ethereum until it got back to this level, personally. Okay, so Ethereum still has a ways to go. However, where it is on the smaller time frame, if you zoom in, it has to go up before it goes down. Okay, it's not necessarily breaking down from here. Okay, so what I'm looking at is, and I'm gonna count it for you right here, my initial break, my initial counter, my secondary break, my secondary counter. So this one's a flat correction. Okay, this one is a zigzag. I think you can tell, right? So here, zigzag is an A, B, C, right? You get that? Impulse, and then a counter, three-wave counter between the 0.5 and the 618. I don't have to pull out my fibs. I have enough chart hours to know that this is my golden pocket right here. Okay, my eyes have seen it enough. Now, what do I have here? At the very least, let's say I don't know what this is. I'm going to say quite confidently, I don't know. I love saying I don't know, because there's so much, not just safety, but you can rest in I don't know, and it opens up so many possibilities. Instead of I know this is a zigzag, I know that this is a flat, it could be either one. And now if I say I don't know, I can in my head say, well, if it's a zigzag, I'm expecting another ABC at the very least, before saying Ethereum's done and ready to dump. Or, and let me erase this because this is a bit confusing. Or I can say it's a flat correction, in which case I still have to effectuate this A, B, C, at least a retracement to the 786 level. But all that to say is I'm looking at my third correction, my third pair of AB basing before Bitcoin dumps. And I'm referring to the whole Wyckoff distribution, if you will. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say AB basing, I'm referring to Elliott wave corrective theory, whereby in order to complete an accumulation or complete a distribution, complete a consolidation of any kind, right? Basically meaning when the price goes up, for it to turn around to go down, or from going down for it to turn around and go up, you have to put in an interim or an intervening consolidation. That consolidation consists of three pairs of AB basing. So that's what I'm referring to, and that's what I'm counting. So again, the first, the second, and the third. The third isn't finished yet. It can be either a flat correction like that or a zigzag like that. So that's why I'm saying I'm quite comfortable that I'm not going to get caught without a chair in the whole game of musical chairs by bidding on some of the altcoins that I believe that I've been talking about on this channel are on support, waiting for a pump before Bitcoin dumps, because there's still a little time there. Does that make sense? That's where I get my confidence in saying, okay, I'm still okay waiting for a balancer that's quite clearly at support on the higher time frames. Let's go on daily. Waiting for a balancer that's quite clearly at support for it to put in its 150% to the first likely target. I'm comfortable waiting for a Litecoin to put in. I mean, look at this one. I mean, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. To me, this is beautiful. I love seeing nice support like this. I mean, this is textbook support. Look at that consolidation right here. And I show this all the time, but I can't show it enough. Look at that. Let's draw it nice. Consolidation, breakout, retest, a double retest. Remember, corrective patterns happen in flavors of 3. It doesn't matter if it's a flat correction, a zigzag, or a triangle. You're always getting flavors of 3, right? Sometimes that flavor manifests in 5 waves, 7 waves, 9 waves, doesn't matter. Flavors of 3. So here you get an A, B, C, flavor of 3, retest of previous resistance now as new support. I mean, that doesn't break down, right? That doesn't break down. There's nowhere for that to go but up. And so I'm very confident in saying, okay, I look at this chart, it tells me the next likely move is up. And altcoins like it. And then I look at Bitcoin, I can't really say, oh, I know that that's definitely going up before Bitcoin goes down. I look at Bitcoin dominance, I don't get confidence from that. But when I look at Ethereum and I look at Cardano and I look at Stellar Lumens and I look at XRP and I look at other altcoins that are likely needing to retrace, like Bitcoin, I see that they're not yet finished in their distributions. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's not too arcane for everyone. But that's basically my analysis and my takeaway. So based off of what I'm seeing in the markets, based off my overall kind of holistic analysis in certain altcoins, I think Bitcoin kind of hovers where it's at. It does hit our target eventually, but that after a little bit of time, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, look for instance on the really small time frame at let's look at Balancer, right? So really small time frame right here. What's going on? Again, we can use our same principle of trying to count. And I said this yesterday. All right, you bottomed. Why don't you just go up? It doesn't work like that. You first have to put in a series of corrective patterns. And so that is series of consolidations. Sometimes that works out to be a channel that's orthogonal. Sometimes that channel is up and to the right. A lot of times in very bullish assets, it's up and to the right. So here I count my first pair of corrective patterning. So my first break, first counter. Secondary break, secondary counter, very likely. And then maybe something like this, right? But there's still time needed for Balancer, for Litecoin, or DYDX, right? Let's use that as an example. There's still a little bit of the dance required, right? That's the initial break, initial counter, secondary break, secondary counter, maybe down to here or whatever it is. If it's a flat, it's coming down here. If it's a zigzag, it's going up here. And then a tertiary break, tertiary counter before a pump. So we need to wait for that to happen before expecting our altcoins to pump, right? But that doesn't mean that they're not on support. That doesn't mean that they haven't gone down as much as they're going to go down. So that's what I'm trying to explain. Guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider buying me a coffee, i.e. tipping me via Venmo or Cash App, or sending me Litecoin. And consider my crypto portfolio consultation service. It's actually called the Crypto Portfolio Consultation and Mentorship Service. It's a mouthful, but it's very, very useful in my opinion. I'm not just saying this because I'm offering it. It helps you figure out what to invest in to take advantage of what we're going to see in the bull market. And we're going to see legendary gains in the bull market. Many millionaires, billionaires will be made in this bull market, but not everything will run. And it's up to you to figure out what is going to run, and where to take profit, where to buy in, all that stuff. Obviously, we're at a good time. Pretty much most things are good buys, but not everything. There's a lot of new assets on the market, some of which are at their local tops, so they're not necessarily going to run like a lot of these that I've been talking about on the channel that are closer to support. So I help you balance your portfolio up to 5 assets, and that's $150 per month. And you can get that at the pinned comment below on the Buy Me a Coffee website. I meet one-on-one with you 1 to 2 hours every month. So yeah, I wish I had that when I started. I probably, Maybe I wouldn't even have done this. I'd probably be doing something else, to be honest. But anyway, that's it. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye.
The thing they call